A red line. That is how we see. That is how we think. With a beginning, with an end. So we trace lines, invisibles. Lines on earth, lines on maps, lines that define the territories, lines that separate us, lines against nature, lines against man, lines that caused wars, lines that will keep creating wars as long as they exist. But no one wants to erase them. It all started with lines, lines to trace, tracing words and tying them to language, language tying thoughts, reducing, unrestrictive. Lines traced make words physical, and therefore, to our eyes, binds them to physical reality. We need lines to visualize the intangible, to bind it to something that can be represented, unrestricted. We draw a line, putting us over them. We draw a line, putting us over animals. We draw a line on a map, putting us over Earth. We draw a line, putting us over God's creation. We draw a line, putting us over God. The past was written so we couldn't forget. The conflicts were written so we couldn't forget. We are part of a collective past. Without it being part of us, it is imposed on us. I hate these lines. They only have a meaning when they are placed on a map, and maps represent history. They are a path to the past, a reminder of conflicts for a piece of land or a disagreement. They cannot be a pathway towards the future. The words different and other are lines traced on paper, but also lines in the mind. A line drawn between us and them. These lines have created a division between people, just like the lines on a map create division between species of land. They created a tragic and violent gradation between words, and therefore between men. The antagonism of words escalated through the ages. So did the conflicts they created, until we made a weapon so powerful, so violent that we thought we could not create anything worse. Everything stopped. Time, space, men, and wars. We dared. We were astonished. No one realized. No one understood. We saw nothing at Hiroshima. But life has to keep flowing, water under the bridge. We forgot and started again. It was Pandora's box, which should never have been opened. It only brought destruction and misery. It is an absurd creation, made to end, not one life, but all lives. It created a rain of ashes, erasing the collective memory, hoping that the silence would give them the answer. They wanted the power to overtake God. They wanted all the answers. But after the creation of the 100 suns, a rain of ashes burned us through the flesh and choked life into the ground. They were playing dice with life and death. After the rain came the silence, from which they were hoping to find the answers. If only they knew how to listen. They could only see a line. They were judged too proud to think that they could overthrow God. And for all the lives they took on the way, Minos sent them to the seventh circle, drowning in the blood of those they killed. Their name and faces are lost. We forgot them. They are kept by Nyx. The silence created after the detonation could have been the answer, if only they knew how to listen. Nyx and Helios, forever chasing each other in a circle. In the meantime, Styx always moves forward, carrying the memories, carrying the present, and just like Styx, we always go forward. We destroy to create. We create anew from the ashes of the old, pretending it's a circle of life, made of time and space. But life doesn't destroy, It evolves, destroying to create his human nature. God creates life, and he takes it back when it pleases him. We can create. We were created in his image. We can take life away. We always try to get closer to our God. But which God? Apollo? Dionysus? We seem to forget that we are imperfect. Therefore, how could our creation be perfect? Art, God, gods are all man-made creations, which is why they will never be perfect. We try to reach perfection through our creation, and we try to reach the perfection of our creation. It is absurd. So is the vanity of Sisyphus. We broke the balance, trying to play God. The first time, we tried to reach the sky. We were punished, spilled across the earth, unable to understand each other. They pretend that it is why there are conflicts, but men were killing each other long before this happened. We saw nothing at Hiroshima. It's funny how we imagine time and life as a line, with a beginning and an end. They acted, imagining that their actions would begin with their research and the end with the detonation. Did they realize how lasting its effect would be? They saw their action on a definite timeline because they ignore that nothing is a straight line, but everything and everyone is part of a circle. I wonder, this ideology of the line, is it what drove us into such a reckless existence? Let us imagine that life is a line and death is another line that you trace on a sheet of paper. You draw them parallel to each other, but maybe they are overlaid, existing on the same plan, separated, yet existing together as a whole. The moment you detonate it and the atom splits, you create on our plan what is between these two lines, or a place where they coexist for an infinitesimal moment in time, a zone where time is stuck between life and death, whilst being neither of them. Time is the never-ending movement that composes atoms, a flow, non-stoppable. But what if the cataclysm, the shock wave created by the bomb was powerful enough to disrupt this flow for a nanosecond? The nuclear test sites are a testimony of these moments. Life and time fluctuate like a river. The river flows and goes to the ocean and complete an eternal cycle. But the bomb is a shock wave, a wave breaking onto the beach, and the reverberation of it, changing the shape and the nature of the sand and the landscape. That split second, just before it breaks on the rocks, exploding into thousands of drops, it changes shape and for a moment collides onto the rocks, covers it, glides on it, as two opposite elements becoming one, like the living space and non-living space, colliding and becoming one for a moment, creating a portal between the two worlds. Tide and wind, take away the words, take away the memories, take away the time, to leave us bare and naked. We always try to reach the dead without wanting to join them. Et dans les plaines retentit le cri silencieux d'Eurydice. Each time and place where a bomb was tested created a new rupture in time and space, marked by the collision of life and afterlife. They are the testimony of destruction. No war happened, just a rehearsal which became more and more violent, despising nature and man, sinking deeper and deeper through the circles. The desert was a place of meditation, of renewal, a sacred place to seek the truth, now contaminated by men. Time is circular, not linear. Life is a circle, but always we imagine it as a straight line. We draw the evolution of man as a straight line, going from left to right, with death being the end of the line. With the nuclear bomb, we destroyed this circle. The land is forever damaged by its impact. The circle is broken. We want to find the end of the line, because we see it as an answer, a resolution, a finality. If there is no end, there is no right or wrong, no answers, just the unknown. In a world where we are all looking for an answer, a justification of why we are here, if there is no end, then what is our purpose? Yet we live in fear of finding the end of the line. We try to ignore it and live pretending that there is no end to our line. We try to run away from it. How vain! We are like Sisyphus, trying to trick the gods, to break the eternal circle without realizing that by trying to break it, we reinforce it. The absurdity of Sisyphus and his task is carried by mankind. We are born without a choice and die without a choice. Our lives are a series of circles coming up one after the other. We are always running in circle, but is it really an atrocity? We partly acknowledge the circle whilst trying to ignore it as well as trying to break it. We are stuck in a linear vision, a linear way of thinking, again tied to a line of representation. I thought the bomb broke the circle, but I understand now. We cannot break it, only enlarge it. We cannot go against the second law.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. 60 means 60. You need 60 seconds to make a minute, 60 minutes to make an hour, 24 hours to make a day, 28, 29, 30 or 31 days to make a month, 12 months to make a year. A day is the time it takes for the earth to rotate on itself. A year is the time it takes for the earth to rotate around the sun. Numbers, days, months, years, what are they? An attempt for human to quantify time. How vain of us to think that we can quantify something like time. Trying to tie it down to us through numbers created by men. Numbers are the language of quantification. But quantification of time is an illusion to let us think that we have somehow defined it and therefore control it. Is a circle not made of a line? And is a line not made of lots of minuscule points, so close together that we can't tell them apart? Sisyphe ne tourne pas en rond, il va d'un point à l'autre, traçant une ligne droite, regrettant d'être sorti du cercle. Et dans les plaines retentit le cri silencieux d'Eurydice. Time flows without interruption, the same way a river will flow towards the sea and complete the circle. So does life, so does death. There is no present, just a continuous transient flow between past and future. Everything is in perpetual change. Science shows that there is actually no present as we define it, just a continual flow between past and future. But without present, we are going back to the original dichotomy. Et dans les plaines retentit le cri silencieux d'Eurydice. Time never stops to flow. We have this illusion that present is the time stopping or slowing down for us to be able to grasp the present moment. We try to stop time by defining what we are doing now, like a dam trying to stop the course of a river. I can't pretend to have an answer. I don't think I understand. I don't think we can understand. Lines and circles, right or wrong, time and space, space-time, non-space, life and death, all are constructed representation tying the unknown to a man-made definition, in the hope that we can keep what is left of our sanity. Maybe, instead of paying attention to the lines, creating and binding, but misunderstood, we need to pay attention to the empty space, the void between the words, between the thoughts. There is silence, a bridge for comprehension and understanding. Without the silence of the emptiness, the nothingness, nothing would make sense. Maybe silence is the answer, and the silent dance macabre of time and space is the best form of connection and communication between beings. Maybe the reason why the living and dead cannot communicate verbally to each other is because silence is the real communication between us. We, the living, are able to speak, but we seem incapable to listen and understand, whereas the dead, unable to speak, are finally able to listen and understand the silence. We cling onto the lines, scared of the lip, scared of the void, scared of the silence. We walk the line, oscillating between balance and the lip, wondering what is underneath and above us, trying to reach the sky, but we are too scared of the fall. Nous sommes des vaniteux.